Lots of places have connected these different activities.
Yeah.
We've actually integrated them.
Yeah,
And so,
exactly.
I mean, it's represented right here. You've got sciences, you've got business, you've got engineering, all in one place that makes it very unique. It's such a simple concept. Let's make sure what we're doing in the labs impacts. But in academics, faculty come into their new positions and they're focused on getting their first grant and writing papers and getting tenure and things like that, right? And you go through that process, and so many get into their middle of their career and they think, well, what else is left? Am I going to go through my whole career having published hundreds of papers but never actually making an impact with that work? And so I think that's why this vision is so compelling to people. It's really the dream, I think, of academics, to be at a place where the focus really is on the impact.
When I think back to when we were trying to come up with the idea for the Knight campus, one of the big things we wanted to do is really elevate the impact of the whole university. We didn't have engineering or medicine that inherently have applied, outward-facing elements to them. And I think that whole idea of impact and an acknowledgement of the virtuous cycle that impact creates was something that really hooked us.
That's the part that excites me, because I look at what we've done at University of Oregon over our history, and we've had phenomenal research. We've had terrific teaching programs, and at times we've brought them together. But the whole mission of the Knight campus is that the power of this place is interweaving those. And as I look around what we're building here, you almost can't tease apart. Wait, is that a research activity or a teaching activity? Is that entrepreneurship or research? They're all intermingled.
The people of Eugene and Oregon are the beneficiaries of a tremendous gift by the Knight family, not just monetarily, but conceptually, to cite an incubator of novel ideas and research and future drugs at the University of Oregon campus will develop a tremendous powerhouse of innovation and cutting-edge advances that will impact a lot of different arenas and fields. And because of that, the economy of Eugene and the state of Oregon is going to benefit, and more importantly, the education and exposure of the next generation of students is going to benefit tremendously.
There was this gap at the University of Oregon. It was almost like we had a great university that wasn't finished. Now, no university is ever finished. Indeed, we're always trying to get better and better. We're always trying to do more and more. But we had this glaring gap in our research and our educational program.
The Knight campus is a major new academic operation that fulfills both important parts of the university mission. Of course, the research mission, which we really focus on, but also opportunities for students in the educational mission as well.
If I look at the students coming into the bioengineering program, these are grad students that want to make a difference. They want to improve people's lives, and they want to do that right through help. And I think that as engineers, right, I think that we can have a tremendous impact on human health.
we have a really diverse set of people who have all come together and really helped us launch this in a pretty remarkable, not just COVID time, but given everything going on and given the usual restrictions that we face. As you all know, I'm an entrepreneurship person, so I fall back on that frequently. But I think of what is it that makes an entrepreneur successful? And one of those key elements, which is the hardest to teach, but maybe the most important, is to have a clear vision and to be able to rally everyone around that vision. And as I look at what we've accomplished through the Knight Campus, that's a big part of it. And I think we've been able to pull on all that diversity because we've projected, and you stated it so beautiful earlier, Bob, but it's we've projected a new vision of what the university can be and how it can impact society. And I think what we've seen is that resonates with people, and people want to line up and be part of something like that.
We wanted to create a place where students and faculty and staff are all interacting to really build a new future in this forward-looking way.
I think it's really good for being able to get help from people who are working in related areas, but perhaps with different perspective. I think it's something that I've already seen happen when I've walked through the lab space or the shared office space, where I see students from my lab talking to people from Parisa and Kaylin's lab. And then talking about issues with their science or just having fun, which is really nice to see them forming those relationships, that they're not just limited to only the people in their labs.
The bridge is definitely a critical component of that, because I think without the bridge, we would feel very isolated. But I mean, with the bridge there, it basically just feels kind of like a natural extension of the existing campus.
Well, I think it's the best way to guide collaboration between different people. When you're surrounded by different labs, you're exposed to what they do, you're exposed to their research, you have to contact them and constantly talk with them, and that helps a lot with fostering those collaborations.
Those kinds of challenging big picture projects are made easier to tackle when you have all of the immense resources and equipment and instrumentation that's available at the Knight campus. Furthermore, the environment led by Dr. Goldberg in terms of promoting a startup entrepreneurial culture, in terms of putting together teams that can take the leap from bench work and cross the valley of death, so to speak, and achieve an actual clinical therapy that can work in a person, that requires not just scientific acumen, but also regulatory expertise, product development expertise, and business expertise. And Dr. Goldberg's put together a fantastic platform to help achieve just that in a variety of areas.
When I'm able to interact with faculty, it keeps the reminder right at the forefront of what we are doing here. This is the research. Like you said, we want to rapidly iterate and get to the right answer an order of magnitude faster than we've ever been able to do before. And that's been the focus of our equipment purchases. The layout of the entire building, the organizational system has been all completely designed around that kind of efficiency.
The design of the building and also the whole strategy of Knight Campus is calling for people that are very interdisciplinary and they're willing to collaborate and just be working with other people.
The lines between all the traditional classical fields are kind of blurring together. And I think the most important findings today basically, overlap with many different fields. So it's just kind of a natural evolution of where science is going.
I think one of the things we've already seen with the Knight campus is people sat up and they took notice and they said they're doing something different at the Knight campus. And I think that impact is really going to be something that we'll see in 10 years. That people start, again, reimagining, wait, how is it that a university should be thinking of training its students? How is it that we can respond to societal needs and conduct cutting-edge research at the same time? How is it that we can interweave communications training and entrepreneurship training and basic research?
One of the challenges with academic research is sometimes it's been very inefficient to translate discoveries into impact.
We have a great history at the business school. We have one of the nation's oldest entrepreneurship centers. We have one of the highest ranked MBA programs in entrepreneurship. So this is just a natural fit. Specifically with the business school, the Knight campus is building out new curriculum. We're introducing new courses in things like technology commercialization and science entrepreneurship. We're also setting in place a whole set of programs that are going to bring our two units closer together.
We knew that we had to increase the impact. We called that the impact cycle. We discover, we translate, and that feeds back into new discoveries. So we knew this. But we also knew we had to be able to communicate the impact. If you have impact but nobody knows about it, then you don't really have the impact that you want. So we wanted to make sure that the impact was there. And of course, if you want to have an impact in society, you've got to understand what society really needs. So this is where innovation and entrepreneurship training comes into play. So the combination of those things were all designed with the end in mind. That is the end being to increase the impact of the University of Oregon for society.
A lot of universities attempt to commercialize their research. And the way this typically works is they discover something, and once they discover it, then they engage their technology transfer office and other operations to try to make this happen. And that's great with one challenge, and that challenge is it takes a really long time and a lot of resources. The research shows this is about 10 years on average in the life sciences. What we're doing in the Knight campus is the moment someone steps foot on our campus, the moment they step through the door, they begin to be exposed to the considerations of the market. How does an industry function? What does problem-driven research look like? What's the product development process look like? And that means two things. First, it means that they're pushing on questions where we already know there's demand in the marketplace. We already know society needs the things that the Knight campus is working on. And the second thing is, because we already know that, when our faculty and our students come up with a discovery, they've already taken those first several steps. They already understand the market and the industry. They already know which funders they might approach. And our hope with that is we can dramatically accelerate that 10-year time cycle.
Well, the attention that we've given to the human element of the whole Knight campus, faculty, students, and staff, and including people in conversations, including everybody in developing that ethos, is very different than what you'd find at most institutions. You see it sometimes in biotech, and we hear about it in the tech world, but in academia it's very different. So having that kind of a mission and vision is encouraging all sorts of people to want to work here in all the different positions and get engaged in ways that they might not have otherwise.
What we're trying to do is build an innovation ecosystem that allows faculty to do this, create space for the faculty and students to do innovation and entrepreneurship, provides them the resources as well as the advice and entrepreneurial judgment to make it happen.
I think that the design of the space and the design of the building and its interactions really lend itself to multidisciplinary and just like people talking to one another.
One of the unique things that we did is we really started with the end in mind. If the end is impact, what do you need to do? What do you need to put in place in order to have the impact that we wanted? And from that time that we adopted that goal, we put in place a whole number of different elements of the program in order to achieve that.
The mission of Science Advancing Society is really that we have an opportunity and really an obligation to make sure that the discoveries that we're doing in academic labs have an impact in society. And of course, there's lots of different forms of impact. It could be educating students to think and make an impact in society. It could be developing new technologies that result in a new company and impact patient care. It's amazing what's already happened in this world where we have masks on, you know, the building can't be full because of COVID. And look at all the activity we already have going on. It's just really unbelievable. And it's just going to take off in sort of a nonlinear way from here. as we already have over half of our faculty have done startup companies. As that grows, more and more people are going to look at that and say, hey, I can do that too. And I can take what I'm doing in the labs and take it into a startup company and make a difference in the world.
We talked about how we could put together a program that could put the University of Oregon in the forefront of what some people call convergent science.
Our laboratory focuses on developing new treatments for blinding diseases, things like macular degeneration or diabetic eye damage, or certain genetic diseases that damage the vision critical parts of the eye, like the cornea. When you consider the aging of the population and the importance of vision, developing new treatments that can work longer, that can improve vision with fewer side effects is a critical need and challenge in medicine, and we have the privilege of working in some cutting-edge areas in that regard.
The areas I'm most excited about for new research in partnership with Knight Campus is in the regenerative medicine side of things. It's an area that in human physiology we know about, but we don't have facilities for, or necessarily the expertise to do. But we have the collaboration with clinicians in town who want to know how to progress things more quickly. And we know how to calculate the mechanics of what's related to the musculature, to the tendon function, to the bone function.
We make materials that allow us to very precisely deliver different proteins to the body. And the idea is that if we have these materials we can use to deliver proteins to the body, we can start thinking about how to regenerate different tissues. And we mainly do this in bones, so large bone fractures or traumatic injuries, and also in the brain, so things like stroke and also spinal cord injury.
I work a lot trying to understand and also design new proteins. Proteins are small, tiny molecules in your body that do basically all the things that happen inside your body. And the idea that we have is that first, it's really important to understand them because it gives us a better understanding of how our body functions and how the diseases happen. And also we can use them to design and improve them for new functions to solve some of the problems that we have in 21st century scaling.
In a lot of times, orthopedic technology are still not as developed as other field of medical area. For orthopedic, they still rely on very old system like bone screw, bone plates. It's still a piece of metal or piece of plastic they use to hold things together. My innovation is, we want to make this less boring. A piece of bone plate, we can instrument it. We can put sensor in there. We can put actuator in there, and it can provide specific functions to track the effect of the bone plate, to track the healing condition, and for that you can give the patient a much direct knowledge of how things are going on, give the doctors a physical therapy, say that, hey, you know what, things are going well or not. And if needed, the bone plate or the bone screw should be able to react to conditions. Can we change the bit here? Can we change the stiffness? Can we provide mechanical stimulation on the fly to improve the healing?
For the last decade or so, we've tried to understand at a fundamental level, how do tissues respond to materials and how can we design those materials to respond in a better way? So a practical application of that new knowledge was, well, how do we make implants stick better in the body so that they don't loosen and fall out? And we developed some new technologies for spine implants that allowed them to adhere in the body faster and stronger, and that has reduced patient complications coming out of really severe spine surgeries. That technology was taken out into a startup company. That startup company was acquired by a larger company, and that technology, which started in academic research, is now benefiting the lives of tens of thousands of patients.
The concept of team is one that's really come to the fore, as you were saying, the fact that everybody contributes in all these different ways to really creating an ecosystem that is mission driven. It's super exciting.
I knew immediately that this was a center that we could collaborate and that we could do great things together. Projects around data science, computational biology, and being sort of the translational outlet or the hub where there's biomedical science can meet basic science in the computational space.
Yeah, location is everything. I mean, in my career, I've been to different type of facility, and when you separate the building from one end of the campus to another end campus, even though it's the same campus, it's different. It's, for example, if I just want to fabricate something, and then the characterization is across the campus, you have to take 10 minutes to walk there. It's just a different type of dynamic. And the fact that my office is just on top of here is so easy, because if I have something, I can just go down here, and then my students, the postdoc, can probably just walk in here, and I can just pop in and check on things.
It's really convenient having, this little neighborhood here, and the way that the building is designed, you can tell that, architecture has come a long way since, some of the older buildings I've been in at the past, where everybody was completely isolated and you only saw each other at the coffee corner. And so I had a person once tell me that productivity is maximized at interfaces, and I think there's a lot of interfaces here, right? So you get a lot of opportunities to meet people, both other PIs, even the people on the other side, on the other tower, as well as the students, and opportunities for mentoring and training as well.
Opportunity for our discipline to interact with the engineering discipline from Bob and his group with bioengineering gives us an opportunity to do truly interdisciplinary work, where we're not holed up in our silos only studying our one little project. So it gives us an opportunity to almost be different translators, where we can help unpack what the engineers are talking about to the clinicians, and we can help explain to the engineers what the athletes mean when they come in talking about a certain injury or a certain pain. And the opportunity then to blend those disciplines makes it where we can make huge jumps forward in both the science as well as the application.
The partnership benefits Oregon because we're bringing two great institutions, the Knight campus at the University of Oregon and the Knight Cancer Institute, together to accelerate science. And that's exactly what we want to be doing. We want to look beyond both our own campus, the University of Oregon's campus, at partners, and to think about combining forces in the state of Oregon to advance medical science and to benefit humanity. That's what we want to be doing, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
I mean, my dream is we talk about this impact cycle, discovery, development, deployment, and that's kind of the pace at which we're going around. And I think over the 10 years, we're just going to see that speed up and speed up and speed up till it's just a blur, and we really can't tell the difference between them. It's all going to be spinning so fast.
I think we'll see a lot of, I hope, we'll see a lot of origin stories too, where people reflect back and they say, wow, do you remember that startup which is now thriving and it was a well-known household name? That started at the Knight campus. Do you remember that incredible breakthrough which brought together these disciplines? That started at the Knight campus. And I think even 10 years from now, we might start seeing more and more of those stories.
I'm looking forward to seeing new students come to campus that we wouldn't have seen before. I'm looking forward to us being the central welcoming station for students and their families when they come and visit the university and are interested in the sciences, particularly in the applied sciences. My hope is that they come here and then they will visit the rest of the campus and come back here and really feel that we are at the University of Oregon at the very top tier of scientific and engineering research and academics in the nation and the world.
I guess I've always thought about it like a couple of the sort of the iconic places I think of for disciplinary study, like the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, the MIT Media Lab. So what I envision is we'll be that for solving these problems at the interface between science, engineering, and life.
So if I could tell Phil and Penny one thing, I would thank them. And I would thank them not just for this building, not just for the Knight Library, not just for the Knight Professorships or Hayward Field or Hatfield Dallin. What I would say is thank you for allowing us to dream. Thank you for allowing us to hope and to aspire to be better. And for your example of being great. That's what we need. That's what any great institution needs.